Did you guys see this? So basically, certain political parties here in South Africa are in favor of Cape independence. Those parties are also in favor of allowing Israel immigrants to come and buy and reside here in South Africa, specifically the Western Cape. I'm gonna need you guys to wake up and
welcome back to Gistline. People are seriously talking about Cape Town breaking away from South Africa and becoming an independent state. And guess what? A lot of people think Donald Trump is supporting this process. And to make things even hotter, reports suggest that Israel is already taking advantage of the situation and planting themselves deep in Cape Town future plan. Recently, we saw how some black South Africans were crying out over the influx of Israelis, and this is not funny. Well, do you think Israel has come to stay? Let's listen to what others have to say about this. And before then, if today is the first time joining my channel, please kindly like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to drop your opinion in the comment section. Then I'll be right back.
There are so many white people that are supporting this idea, who actually want it to happen, who are still pushing for it, even though a foreigner came into South Africa and came up with this. To the black people, the colored people, and even the Indian people in the Western Cape, I need you people to understand something. If this Cape independence thing keeps growing, it will turn into violence. If this idea keeps getting pushed, it will turn into violence. And the only way to respond to violence in self-protection, in self-defense, is to neutralize it before it happens. So what I'm saying is, if you ever hear anyone talking like this, especially in person, neutralize them.
Look at this. Look at this. Perfect. We are being recolonized in real time. We are watching them recolonize us. What are you gonna do? Huh? What are you gonna do?
If Cape Town actually becomes independent, this is not just a South African issue anymore. It's going to be an African issue. And this is something that will shake the whole continent. Now, let's talk about the whole independence talk. Cape Town has always been a bit different from the rest of South Africa, which you all know. Many people there feel like they are more European than African, and they've even complained for years that the South African government is corrupt and doesn't run the Western Cape properly. And that's why you hear more and more people talking about forming their own country. But now, with powerful foreign players like the Israelis getting involved, and Donald Trump, which was reportedly backing them up, this is looking like a local movement and more like a global plan. And trust me, if this goes through, African countries will have a lot to lose. Now, here's the first problem: Africa's jurisdiction. That is going to be the first problem. If Cape Town becomes independent, it opens the door for other regions in Africa to start thinking, hey, we can break away too. Imagine if every group of people who felt neglected by their government suddenly decided to form their own country. It will be chaos. Now, Nigeria has groups that want to leave, like the IPOB. Then Cameroon is already fighting over this. Congo is full of breakaway movements. So if Cape Town pulls it off successfully, all these groups will be inspired and African leaders will lose control of their territories. Then secondly, we'll talk about foreign influence. Right now, Cape Town is under South Africa's control. So there are some limits on how much outside powers can just come in and do as they like. But if Cape Town becomes its own country and Israel is already sitting there with their own technology, investments and even military connections, guess who will really be in charge? It's not the people. Foreign powers will use Cape Town as a new base to control African resources, watch African politics and then push their own agendas. And with the way Donald Trump is reportedly backing this, you can bet this is not just about helping Cape Town. It's about creating a new ally for the West right in the heart of Africa. And this means African countries will have less power to make decisions for themselves because there will be a foreign backed state right on their soil. Let's break this down even more. If Cape Town goes independent, do you know who will suffer the most? Black South Africans. And why? Because Cape Town is one of the richest cities in the country. If they pull away, the money they generate will no longer go to the South African government. That means less money for roads, schools and hospitals in other provinces. The gap between rich and poor will grow even wider, and trust me, that's not going to be funny. Plus, let's not lie, Cape Town has its own racial tensions. If they form their own government, do you think think they are going to prioritize poor black communities? History has already shown us that the people pushing for independence are mostly from the wealthier, whiter communities who don't want to share their taxes with the rest of the country. So black South Africans need to wake up and see that this independence talk could make their struggles even worse. Another thing to think about is security. If Cape Town becomes independent and partners heavily with and they start partnering with Israel, there could be a lot of military presence there, and this might look like protection at first, but it could easily turn into foreign control. Imagine having a powerful military base right inside Africa but run by outsiders. It could destabilize neighboring countries and even create tension in the whole region. So what's the solution? What do you think should be the solution? For me, South Africans, especially black South Africans, they need to wake up and speak out. This is not just politics. This is about the future of the whole country and even the continent. If Cape Town leaves, it's not just Cape Town's business. It's a signal to the whole world that Africa is still easy to divide and control. Africans have fought too hard to gain independence from colonial powers. We can't go back to a situation where outsiders are calling the shots again, just with new flags and new names. At the end of the day, Cape Town independence might sound good to some people, but the bigger picture is scary. It can weaken South Africa, break African unity, open the door for more foreign control, and leave black South Africans worse off than before. And this is a time for everyone to start asking questions, challenging the leaders, and refusing to be silent. Because if we wait until Cape Town becomes independent, it might be too late to fix what will follow. Now, let's listen to what others have to say about this. And if today is your first time joining my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be in the comment section.
First of all, if we could, if we can deliver Cape independence in the Western Cape, or get to the point where it's supportable, the US is going to support us in a heartbeat. That's absolutely clear. I can say that unequivocally. That they're not going to say that publicly. They didn't say it in as many words to me, but it's absolutely clear that we have their moral and ideological support for this. They absolutely understand the issues that are there. And the one message that I brought back really to the Cape independence movement is, these guys will absolutely support us. Now is our time, but we've got to do the hard work. We've got it. They're not going to come and magically deliver it for us. We're going to have to do it ourselves. And if they do it ourselves, we've got a strong ally. And I've got we developed some really strong allies behind the scenes, and people who will publicly start to come out and to make noises in our favor.
Right. So let's take some time to unpack what it is that we've heard over here. Cape independence is real. Cape independence is going to happen unless South Africans do something about it now. Cape independence is not a conspiracy theory, it's not scaremongering, and it is not us trying to scare South Africans to keep African foreigners in South Africa. Cape independence is supported by the United States of America. Now let's remind ourselves, who is the United States of America? The United States of America is the country that supported apartheid. They supported black South Africans being kept in Bantustans and being treated like animals as the apartheid government controlled and looted South Africa. America is a country that supports Israel in its destruction and genocide against Gaza. America is a country that has killed all its native citizens and has made sure that America, which is a settler colony just like Israel, is run by Anglo-Saxons because they've killed off all the American Indians. America is run by Donald Trump, a racist who believes that black people must go back to the plantation. When they say make America great again, they are talking about making sure that black Americans are put back on the plantation. Everything you're hearing about the deportation of illegal immigrants, Mexicans, and South Americans is all about making sure that there is no labor to work the land in America, except for black Americans who need to go back to being slaves on the slave colony. You must also remember that when Cecil John Rhodes decided to colonize South Africa, Americans were some of the people that formed the soldiers that helped to colonize Kimberley. When he went through to Zimbabwe with the Pioneer Column to colonize Zimbabwe, Americans were part of that. And when we fought for our independence, America and the Department of Defense of America recruited 3,000 American mercenaries to fight against blacks who wanted independence in Zimbabwe. That's the America we're talking about. And remember, the biggest private security companies in South Africa are American, British, and Israeli.
If the militarists decide to take matters into their own hands, how would that affect what you are trying to do in a democratic sphere?
What I do know is the statistics that, for example, in the Western Cape, that the private security personnel outnumber government personnel 10 to 1. And we saw in the 2021 riots that it was the civilians protecting the police in the end, and not the other way around. But actually, if we look at what's actually played out in those situations, the people have power, and I think were the Western Cape people to be provoked into a response, it would probably be helpful for Cape independence.
So let's take time to listen to what he is saying and what he is not saying. First of all, the statement that he made is that if there was war, our security companies and the private citizens, white private citizens of South Africa, outnumber at least 10 to 1 the police and the military of South Africa in the Western Cape. And he believes that if there was a military fight, they would get Cape independence because they are better armed and they outnumber the military and the police of South Africa. That he said. What he's not saying is that while they already outnumber the police and military of South Africa, they are recruiting Ukrainians, Zionists from Israel, and other people from all across the world, including Australia, where the DA has gone and put Home Affairs officers. And these people are coming into South Africa. They are also getting armed and given firearm licenses, while you black people don't get firearm licenses, and they are training each other. He also said that they've got the support of the United States. So for all we know, there's already CIA agents, special forces of the Americans. We know that Mossad is here, and we know the special forces of the Israelis are here already training these people. So what he is saying is that we are ready to fight and take the country. And do you see how he cleverly brings in the riots of 2021? What happened there? Poor black people and young black people rose up against white monopoly capital, looted their shops out of anger, and guess what? Who came to the rescue? Indians of Phoenix and white people began to shoot and kill black people. Who were the people who were said to have started it? Duduzile Zuma, Ike Khumalo, who started Dudula. The message is we can neutralize them. Listen.
As you say, the largest demographic group in the Western Cape is the so-called coloured people, who obviously are a diverse community even within themselves. But we know from polling that it's been clear for the last 3 or 4 years the strongest support for Cape independence is amongst the coloured community. They've always been the biggest group numerously, but that's been a consistent feature of our polling. And coloured people in the Western Cape instinctively support Cape independence. They're from the Cape; it's their country. They're connected to the Cape in a way that they're not connected to Limpopo or to KZN. So they naturally support independence.
So do you see how he then brings it full circle to what they call the original people of South Africa, the Khoi and the San? He brings in the colored people. But then he reminds you that these colored people have no connection with the people of Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal, or anyway, because the truth of the matter is coloreds are the product of white people and black people and also Cape Malays. They are not original people of Africa. They are actually the sons and daughters.
I had someone ask me, why do so many black foreigners appear to be in favor of Cape independence and what they stand to benefit from it? And I will say this, right? I've seen it myself, particularly from people from Zimbabwe and Nigeria keep saying that we're in support of Cape independence, but I honestly wouldn't pay them much mind about it, because the reality is people from both of those countries are actually quite dependent and benefit quite a lot from South Africa in its current state, more or less, quote unquote, stable South Africa. And Cape independence would affect not just the South African citizens, a lot of Africa as a whole would be hurt by a move like Cape Independence. So when you see those type of comments, just remember that they don't reflect like hardworking Zimbabweans and hardworking Nigerians. They are just internet trolls. And like, also not to be mean, but yeah, when you see someone from Nigeria or Zimbabwe saying, yeah, we're in favor of Cape Independence, it's a little like taking relationship advice from that one friend who can't hold a stable relationship. You know, like, shouldn't be talking, my bro.
Not something new. I think South Africans are well aware of this movement. We saw it appear out of the blue, started by somebody who is not a South African. And I think we should call it for what it is. It is a separatist movement, which is very worrying because it puts our national security at risk. It puts the interests of ordinary South Africans at risk. I think we can all agree on that. So it is not a good thing at all, regardless of what your race, what your creed, what your religion is. This is not a good thing for South Africans. Here's my problem. Cape Independence has been used as a tool to criticize movements such as Operation Dudula and March and March for their supposed lack of action with regards to the separatist movement. And I can tell you why there is a lack of action. It is because these movements, Operation Dudula and March and March, are grassroots movements. They do not have the major funding that our political elites enjoy. Why are the communities that this hits so close to home to not mobilizing, not organizing, and not protesting this movement? Why are you not engaging with organizations such as Operation Dudula and March and saying, let's join forces? We have this problem that is in proximity to us. It is pushing us out of the local housing market. It is displacing people. It's a form of neo-colonialism. Why not rather do that? Yet you say, don't focus on that, focus on this. Unfortunately, Dudula, March cannot be everywhere at once. Why is this anger not also directed at the political parties? Where's the EFF? Where are the PA? Where's the NCC? Nobody is talking about it. Nobody is protesting about it. Nobody is making waves of it in the media. Why are communities so silent on this?